Hi, it's Starnell with Waylo Recipes, and today I'm going to be making blueberry almond flour whole wheat bread using the Zojirushi Virtuoso Plus bread maker. So let's get cooking right now. Okay, so I've got my Zojirushi here. Always want to make sure that your paddles are pointing in the same direction. Whatever direction you have them both pointing in the same direction, or your loaf's going to be lopsided in the end. And there's plenty of other cooks and reviews of this cooker here on the channel, along with 80 other countertop cookers and over 800 other videos you can check out of other things that I've done here on the channel. But this Zojirushi's been rocking and rolling solid for years, and that's how Zojirushis do. And so I want to show you this almond flour whole wheat bread with blueberries recipe, and you should enter the ingredients into this pot in the order that I'm showing you. They should be done, everything needs to be done in order. So the first ingredient is going to be 2 cups of water. I use distilled water and recommend that. So pouring that in. And don't worry if when you pour the water in, if one of the paddles gets kind of moved a little bit. The auger that turns it is in its right place, so it'll, things will spin just fine in the right direction. So they're still even as far as the auger is concerned. Next ingredient is 2 tablespoons of raw honey. So just getting the first of the 2 tablespoons in. Next ingredient is 2 cups of blanched almond flour. So this is the first cup. Next ingredient is 2.5 cups of a finely stone ground whole wheat flour. Pop that on in there. Next ingredient is 3 tablespoons of a granulated sweetener. Use the one of your choice. Since I'm not using a lot, I'm using a erythritol monk fruit blend here, although you can use like organic barley malt syrup if you want that, or the equivalent of organic monk fruit extract powder if you prefer that. Notice I am putting the sweetener on the sides here. You don't want it in the middle, you want it on the sides. So put that in. Next ingredient is 3 tablespoons of organic milk powder, whole milk powder, not skim milk powder, not fat-free milk powder. Whole milk powder helps the bread rise better than a fat-free milk powder. Notice I'm also putting this on the sides here, just like I did with the sweetener. Next ingredient is 2 teaspoons of sea salt. Also add it to the sides as I'm doing here. So this is the second one. The next ingredient is a cup of vital wheat gluten. I put that around the edges here. So just put it as best I can all around the edges. Trying to leave the center open because that's where the yeast will go in a moment. After I put that vital wheat gluten in, I try and kind of like just press things down a little even, just to be a little even. I've just found that works out better. Next ingredient is 2 tablespoons of softened butter, and really I've found, if you just take it out the fridge and cut it into small pieces before you start putting ingredients in, by the time you're up to putting it in, it's soft enough. It's not going to be really soft, but it'll be soft enough for this process. So here we go with the butter. Notice I put the butter on the sides there. Now I'm going to take a clean knife and just make a well in the middle of the whole wheat flour there. That well is where I will put the yeast. So just make that little space there. Last ingredient is 2 teaspoons of yeast. Use either a bread machine or a rapid rise yeast. That was the first one, and this is the second. This is the only ingredient that goes in the middle. You don't want anything else tainting your yeast. That's why you kind of leave that area there reserved in the middle, as I did. Now I close the lid, all the ingredients in, going up to course 2, which is the whole wheat bread option. It gives me the time that it'll be done. In an initial review, I show you how to set time on the bread maker and all that. But hit start, and we'll move it back just a little bit. The reason why is because once it starts moving, as far as kneading the dough and all that, you don't want it to fall off the edge of your counter. So move it back a little bit. But it's going to get to a point later where it's going to ask to add fruit. I don't remember how long. I just wait for the beep and do other things until the beep comes. Maybe I mentioned it in an earlier cook where I used fruit, or maybe I didn't, but I don't really, think about it. I just do it when it beeps and prepare for that. But at that point, I'm going to add the fruit in. So I'll bring you back when it's time to add the blueberries. Okay, so things started beeping, so I got it open here. Got 1 cup of organic blueberries. And just be mixing those in kind of all over. And I'll just let it go ahead and do the mixing itself of those blueberries. So after closing things up, I see it kind of moving a little bit. Going to move it back again. It'll mix that up and it'll continue the cook. And I'll bring you back when things are done. Alright, the time is up. I'm going to hit cancel to stop that. And I'm going to get the loaf out and dump it on this cooling rack here. It looks like part of the bottom of my bread kind of came off in the pot there. This has worked. I've done this before. I think maybe I used too many blueberries this time, but I think overall still it turned out pretty well. So you see basically, let me move the camera a bit so you can see things a little better. Alright, so maybe you can see better now. Got some good distribution of blueberries. And I used a cup last time, but I think this time I used a slightly heaping cup. I mean, maybe just a little bit more of a cup than last time, but seems like, yeah, we got some good distribution. Just seems like it, maybe some just collected here, and so things got a little more moist over there. But things usually mix up pretty well with blueberries, doing this recipe when I've done it. And so, I'm going to let things set and rest for like about an hour. Probably just put a paper towel on top, let it rest for an hour, and then start slicing it up. But things look pretty good so far. Alright, so it's been a little over an hour since I took it out of the bread maker, and I've got here my bread slicer guide that helps me do correct slicing. You can find stuff like this in my Amazon shop, link in the video description. Nothing that's video sponsored, nothing given to me. And if you prefer one that's wooden, get one that's wooden. I like the one that I have here. I used to use a wooden one too. But basically this is our loaf now that it's had some time to set and rest and firm up a bit for slicing. So basically got it here, my slicing guide. I'm going to go ahead and slice it up. Alright, so now that I've got things all sliced up, I'm going to go ahead and just take a piece off here. You see these areas that are a little dark are blueberries. That's basically the blueberry, how it gets kind of swirled up in there into the bread. So that's how things look inside. And you already got to see the sides, and you can see the top, and see it's got blueberries all over, inside and out. It's all blueberries. Alright, now I'm going to take one of these interior slices for the taste test. I'll enjoy it in cut later, but let's do a taste test. So thank God for this bread. Let's go ahead and do a taste. Okay, always need some water, but turned out good. Taste the blueberry in there. This blueberry almond flour whole wheat bread always turns out nice. And it's pretty moist when you first take it out of the bake pan because of the blueberry and such, but after you let it set for a little bit to firm up, it's all good. Cuts real nice, and you want it to firm up before you start slicing, even though you might want some nice hot bread. I mean, it's up to you, but it's going to be a lot easier to slice and whatnot after you let it firm up a bit. So now you know how to do it. The Zojirushi, you know, can make up that bread, and there's a full playlist of other things that I've made and reviews and talks about it for, you know, any of you who still have other interests in this bread maker. There's lots of other videos here in a playlist, full playlist of it. So with that all said, if you'd like to help the channel, in the video description there's ways to do that, such as my cookbook, merch, membership, donations, link to the Amazon shop. Also, you can always check out my blog, superwaveovenrecipes.com. Again, that's superwaveovenrecipes.com. There's a buy me a coffee link if you prefer that method. And so with all of that said, if you did like the video, please give it a thumbs up, share the video with a friend, leave your comments, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification icon, and good eating.